Hello, and thank you for joining us for our quick trip to the cloud today. We will be showing a quick 30-minute NetSuite CRM demo. We have been doing a lot of these demos recently for prospects, and so we wanted to share the power of the NetSuite CRM with all of you today. CRM software is a pivotal investment, and you need to make sure you are getting the best product for your needs. What sets NetSuite apart from other CRM systems is its user-friendly, no-frills interface, accessibility with mobile functionality, seamless e-commerce integrations, and accurate forecasting capabilities. NetSuite CRM also comes right out of the box with any addition of NetSuite, so it's not something NetSuite users have to purchase separately. It comes right with your ERP. Today's presenter is Randall Hart, one of our senior solutions consultants, who is also a former NetSuite sales rep and is very familiar with the NetSuite CRM as he started his NetSuite career using this product. Again, this is what I love about our team at GSI. We really pride ourselves on the fact that our consultants have worked in the NetSuite system as accountants or CFOs or sales reps, and so they know the functionality that is important to each of these roles. So today's demo is going to be a quick 30 minutes. We're going to show you a lot in that time frame, but as always, if you'd like to see a more customized demo, you can contact us. Thanks and enjoy.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. Whether you're here with us today or you're watching this later on YouTube. As Olivia mentioned, my name is Randall Hart. I'm a senior solutions consultant here at GSI, and I've been in the NetSuite ecosystem since 2007, give or take. Today we're going to talk about CRM, Salesforce automation, a little bit of reporting and sales functionality, as well as customer management and how that all ties together. I really do like this functionality. I think a lot of people overlook it because of either marketing or the UI. But when I started my career working in NetSuite, I started as a sales rep that was actually using NetSuite CRM. And so this was really the first introduction I ever had to business software or how to manage customers and clients. And it really was a great tool for helping learn the sales process, helping manage everything. So I'm real excited today to be demonstrating part of this because it really has had a big impact on my professional career over the last 15 years. So while you see here, I'm in the administrator role. Most of today is going to be done in the sales rep role. There's a lot of different pieces to NetSuite CRM. CRM refers to all customer relationship management. So everything you do with a customer record or tracking transactions, things like that, all relate to CRM. But today we're going to focus on the sales rep side of things, because one of the benefits of NetSuite, as opposed to a software like Salesforce, is that NetSuite is your ERP system. It's all in one. So all of the CRM functionality you're going to see today and we're going to talk about is all included with your NetSuite licenses. So instead of having to go to an outside system, buy it as a bolt-on, buy a financial system as a bolt-on, etc., when you get NetSuite ERP, you get all the functionality I'm going to show you today all out of the box. So let's dive into our sales rep role. So I'm going to come over here to my list of roles, and I'm going to come down and grab my sales rep role. Now, everything in NetSuite is driven by dashboards and by your tabs along the top here. So what this means is that you have the opportunity to really tailor what your platform and what you see every day looks like by your role, by each individual. Now, I have a very no frills dashboard here as we go through today, just because I like data. So when I'm looking from a sales rep point of view, I'm much more data centric than visual centric. However, there are a lot of different options. There's lots of plugins that you can use to make your CRM system a little bit more visual, a little bit more fluid of a UI, if that's something that interests you. But I like to highlight, the fact that you can run this very much from a data-driven perspective. So looking at my home screen, you see that I've got things that are important to me. I have my key performance indicators. I have my reminders. I have my KPI meter that shows me actual versus quota, right? And we'll dive more into some of these things, but I want to show you what these are made up of. So your reminders are something that you can put together based on different analytics in the system. So the nice thing about NetSuite is you can standardize this from a managerial standpoint or an organization standpoint. You can customize the reminders, customize the KPIs, and push this out so that all of your teams are seeing the same things on their dashboards. Or you can give the flexibility to make changes to these for your individuals. So let's say that I don't really care that I have a sales order to print and I want to remove that from my reminder. Whoops. So what you're seeing there is I have the capability to add or remove portlets. So I'm actually going to come here and re-add my reminders portlet. So this is a great little thing to show that you have all of these options available to add down onto your dashboard. So I'm just going to find my reminders and re-add them here to see. And you got a nice little preview here of how easy it is to add or subtract different pieces of functionality. So for example, let's say that I used my calendar. Let's say we had an Outlook integration or we were scheduling tasks. I can also add a calendar in here next to my reminders. Now I am going to go ahead and remove the calendar since I don't have any data set up for us for today. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and set up my reminders. And you can see I don't really care about sales orders to print personally. So I'm going to just click that X and remove that. And you see I have a bunch of different statistics and analytics over here that I could click and drag. So let's say if I have calls to complete, calls that are overdue, and these are based on CRM tasks, which we'll get to in a few minutes. But I'll move that up here. Okay. Now I don't actually have any calls to do, right? So you see it just remove that. What I do like to see is items on back order, what customers and prospects I don't have with sales activity, what tasks do I have that I have to get done, and how many opportunities do I have open. So these are excellent reminders from a sales and CRM perspective. And the nice thing, again, about NetSuite is that since this is fully linked to your inventory, to your warehouse, to your ordering, to your financials, some of these analytics flow through from those other systems. So this 3 items on back order, I really like to highlight this, and I actually have another portlet on my dashboard, which I'll scroll down to in just a second. But when I'm placing orders for customers and I'm trying to coordinate with the warehouse team, the shipping team, sometimes that can be a black box as a sales rep. I place the order, right? And then I don't see the visibility. I have to send someone an email, what's been fulfilled, what hasn't been fulfilled, what's tracking, what are the dates. NetSuite's power is that if you have permission, you can view all of that right out of the box. So for me, I'm going to look at items on back order because I know what customers have ordered what. So you can see here that on these are my sales orders that are open, and I have what they ordered, how many we fulfilled, and what's on back order. So this gives me visibility into different areas where I can go and either talk to my client, let them know that things are moving slow, right? Everyone knows that currently, and I don't know how relevant this is going to be down the road. Again, this is a recording, but at this particular point in time, supply chain issues are still a big problem from the last few years of supply shock. So it's really important as a sales rep to be able to communicate these different things and to be able to message this to your customers so that the customers, you don't end up losing customers. And again, these analytics are not just available to sales reps. These analytics are available across the entire organization. So C-level can view these analytics, management can view these analytics, even accounting. Or if you have a small organization and you fulfill all of these roles, right, we can put all of this on a single dashboard for you. Now I'm going to go back to my dashboard, and I can do that just by clicking the little home button. And we're going to take a look at some of my other key performance indicators and talk about why this data might be important. So when you're going through and managing things as a sales rep and you're using systems such as HubSpot, you like to see information. What are my opportunities? What new leads do I have? Who should I call? When should I call them? NetSuite has all of that capability built in, as well as being able to integrate to some of these other things. And once again, I'm going to go back to Salesforce, right? Salesforce is a great, pretty CRM system, but all it does is CRM. If you want to deal with financials, you have to pay for an integration, you have to buy another system. So I like this because it's all fully integrated, like receivables, for example. So dependent upon how I'm compensated as a sales rep, right? I might be commissioned based on my billings. I might be commissioned based on my net profit, the gross of the sales, all these different metrics that go into how I'm compensated. And that's what matters as a sales rep. What matters as a sales rep is customer satisfaction for driving additional commission. So when we look at receivables, right, I can see sales billings, I can see what my AR is, I can see, do I have any new opportunities to talk to within this month? How many open opportunities do I have? Do I have a new lead that I need to talk to? And how many this month have converted from leads or prospects into customers? And these charts are really nice because it shows you all of these charts. When I click on them, gives me daily trend graphs and other analytics that I can look at for the last either couple of days or a couple of months. I can set this to even quarterly and it'll show me comparison. Now, let's just say, I wasn't hired until a couple days ago, right? You see, these are big spikes in what I'm working on. So again, lots of analytical data here for us to play with. I'm actually going to go ahead and click on receivables, and we're going to look in terms of how this is helpful. So one of the more onerous tasks that happens in an organization is getting people to pay what they owe you, right? We all know that sometimes that's easy and sometimes it's complicated, but a lot of times sales reps are the ones who bear that burden. So looking at this, I can actually just see what the customer is and what their AR aging is, right? So you could see that they have an open balance that's due, by the 3rd, right? 30 days since it came up. So what we want to make sure of is that we don't have 60-day open balances, 90-day open balances, or greater than that. And if we have an open balance that we know is coming up to 30 days, right, and we're going to be charging a fee, again, right from my dashboard, gives me the ability to call my customer and say, hey, Mr. Customer, just wanted to remind you, you've got a bill due tomorrow. We don't want to ding you for the 60 days. Should I let my accounting team know? So all of this data, all of this visibility into the accounting side of things at your sales rep's fingertips is very helpful in terms of that customer lifecycle management. Going back to my home screen again, we're going to take a look at just a few other things down here. This I like, the Kpi Meter the Actual versus Quota, because it lets me know how am I doing with my sales this month. Now I have a quota of about 83.33, so this is based on several different factors. I'm not going to go into the full quota setup process and management today, but if you have any, additional questions, or you want to see more about any of this, reach out to Olivia, reach out to our team. Happy to schedule a one-on-one demo to show you guys the power of all this. Now, I like seeing the quota. However, there are a bunch of different metrics that we can put in here. Your actual versus forecast, forecast versus quota, open quotes, open opportunities, right? And you can set all of these up. They're all based on safe searches. So those are your sort of customizable analytics. So you can build whatever kind of meter you want to see, whichever one is useful to you. We could put 4 or 5 on here. And it's really sort of a nice visual representation of how are you doing. And I'm going to take a look at no new customers, 1 new lead, and you see, I'm only expecting 2 leads this month. So it's a nice little green bar. Open quotes, again, I have 1 out of 2. So you can see that I don't have any forecasts and I don't have any actuals yet. So there's no data here to report on. And I'm just going to go back to my actual versus quota. Now, a couple other helpful things in the dashboard. We have this navigation portlet. This gives you the option to really quickly go to different types of sales. So if you have a customer call up and say, I need a sales order, you could just click right here on the sales order or open it in a new tab. And it takes you right to that transaction record. So you don't have to go searching in your taskbars and other things. So again, just some nice little UI shortcuts. Now we talked a little bit about uh, friendlier UI. This is just a quick tiles thing. So it's shortcuts to get you to certain places, and I can add or remove more of these. Personally, I keep this further down on my page because, again, I like those data-driven things. However, most organizations, most people have the shortcuts and the tiles up top. Now, as we talked about and I showed you order earlier, we had that reminder about items on backorder. I just created a little portlet here that shows to me, right, so that I can track the supply as we go through, and I can be communicating with my customers, looking at my sales orders, reaching out to the warehouse and our purchasing team. And then I just have a little report on my daily billings trend. And so you can see that in July on the 28th, I had an invoice, right, with $2,600 in billings. So, all right, so let's dive into the SFA portion of this. Now, almost all Salesforce automation systems are the same. You get a lead, you convert it to a prospect, you move it to a customer. Different transactions, different documents, different triggers move those along. In NetSuite, it's based on what's called an opportunity record and a quote, and then moving into a sales order, cash sale, or invoice. So I'm going to take a look at my new leads and go find who has just come in, and we're going to take a look at some of that. So I have this new lead called Gary's Gears. So I'm going to come in here and let's say that we had a lead qualification team that talked to people, passed it on. It was routed to me. I can come in and look at the information that they filled out on the lead to get, context, to get information before I reach out to the customer. So this record is kind of filled out. So my qualification team did an okay job, right? They didn't put in the company email or phone. I don't have a website or an address. So some work for me to do as a rep to go figure that out. Looking down, I see, oh, I do have a contact in here. So let me see what contact information is in the system. Okay, so not that much, right? It looks like they got me a phone number. I have a company. The contact, well, we only got a first name, but he is the owner. So let's see here. Was there any communication relevant to this? Nope, there were no phone calls logged for this particular contact. So that's not super helpful to me from the contact record as a sales rep. So I'm going to go and say, okay, well, I wonder if they did log any information. Oh, great. So there's a phone call record logged. So Kathy Cadigan logged this phone call for me, and I'm going to pull this up and I can see what's been logged. So she talked to Gary for about an hour. He's interested in purchasing some finished goods as well as some laptops. Hot lead. Okay, cool. So Kathy feels good about this. Now, I sort of did a little role play for you there and showed you how this might work from a day-to-day basis. When you're looking at this in terms of how does this compare to other systems, almost every system has the capability to do tasks, phone calls, events, right? And what we can do in NetSuite is either link those. So if you have an Outlook integration that you want to run, or you're using something like a HubSpot, you want to filter some of this in, we certainly can. The benefit is this is all out of the box, so I can view this information by different people or create new tasks, new phone calls, or new events for myself. So if I was to say, okay, I need a new task. So my task is to call Gary, and I'm going to set this as a high priority because it was a hot lead. And I'm going to say that I need to call him today. Now I can do a reserved time, and this all filters into the calendar I showed you earlier. And you can sync this up to Gmail or Outlook to have it populate either one of those calendars if you communicate more from those. Some other great stuff is that all of the customer records, all entity records in NetSuite have a link to the NetSuite file cabinet with our file drag and drop system. So all you have to do is, let's say you got an attachment on an email for a purchase order. You could just click that and drag it here, and it would automatically attach it to the record for you. And then you could access it from the record at any time. So that's my new lead, a lot of information. So once I'm ready to do something with this lead, let's say I created a quote. Well, we're going to go look at opportunities and see some that we've already created to move forward. And I'm personally going to pick this Olivia's Antique Repair. Now, when I look at this, I can take a look at the opportunity and see that we've issued a quote. Now, an opportunity is a forecasting record that exists that we can have during our conversations with the customer. So if I pull up Olivia's Antique Repair, the actual company record, you'll see that it's a prospect. So we haven't actually closed any business with them yet, but because we have an opportunity, because we have a quote, it's moved it from a lead to a prospect automatically for us. Now, I can have multiple open opportunities at once. So I was looking at this one's that was expected to close on 7/28, right? Expected to close later this month, right? And then this one that I'm talking to that's expected to close today. Now, when I come in here and I go back and look at this opportunity, we've got opportunity 68. You can see the projected total. What's my probability? So what's my weighted total? Again, all forecasting metrics, very standard across all CRM and SFA systems in the world. NetSuite does it just as well as anyone. And so when I edit this, my probability I can either manually put in, or it's based on these statuses. So let's say that I've moved from proposal to in negotiation, changed to 75%, which automatically adjusted my weighted totals. Now I can even choose what forecast type to put in, worst case, most likely upside. So that helps drive some things. Again, we're not going to go into too much detail here, but I'm going to move it from omitted to most likely. Now, one of the nicest things about opportunities in NetSuite is that I have access to my entire item list in NetSuite that I have available to sell. So if an item is available to sell, I have access to it as a sales rep based on where the customer is, what subsidiary we're in, what location I have access to. And that's going to give the ability to really tailor what you can and what you should be selling to your customer without having to take an order, follow up with warehouse and purchasing, follow up with accounting. Hey, do we have this item? Can I use it? Right. So it gives you the opportunity to sort of bypass a lot of those things. Now we're looking at this from a manufacturing and wholesale distribution point of view. There's a lot of different things we can do with this. If you're in, let's say, nonprofit environment, right, and you're tracking solicitation opportunities, or if you're doing services sales, so you're a project-based organization and you sell time or labor or consulting or legal services, marketing services, there's an awful lot that we can bend this to, that we can adjust. For the purposes of this demo, I am in a manufacturing or WD style environment. However, lots of flexibility here. And if you want to learn more about items and how they flow through transactions, you can either watch one of our pre-recorded webinars or reach out to Olivia or our team and we can schedule something up for you. So on this opportunity, you see it's got a $5,000 total. I don't have any items, so where's this $5,000 coming from? Well, so for this particular client, I've created an estimate, right? So this is an estimate or a quote. And when I look at this, this is something that is very classic sales. So we're having a conversation with a client, we're negotiating, I'm creating estimates for them. I could have more than one estimate linked to an opportunity. So let's say that we're doing a software sale or a product sale, and we have the base service or the base product, and then we want to do a quote with support for 6 months. We want to do a quote with support for 12 months. We have the ability to build all of those in NetSuite, include some in our forecasts, exclude some in our forecasts, and really tailor how we're selling, what we're selling, and where we're going. For this particular opportunity and prospect, I've created one estimate for plastics. We're going to be selling them plastics to aid in their repairs of antiques. So now that I have this as an estimate, I have the opportunity to convert it to a cash sale or a sales order. Sales order follows your classic premise. We create a sales order, we fulfill it, we bill it. And a cash sale is much more of a retail or credit card or e-commerce centric transaction. The cash sale counts it as immediately. There's no billings, there's no invoicings, there's no fulfillment. It's very much they've handed me the money, I've given them the product style transaction. For our purposes, I'm going to do a sales order because it's going to give me the option to track a fulfillment on this. So you can say I have pending fulfillment. I don't have any approval processes slotted in the system. However, we could build them, and NetSuite has a lot of flexibility around that. If you need any sort of approval processes, most of the time you don't want an approval process on the sales order. You really kind of just want to let your sales rep sell. So you see here, I've created this item. I have 698 available. I'm going to choose the location it's coming out of, and we'll see if it's at the main warehouse. Nope, it's not at my main warehouse. Not my East Brunswick location. So let's check this warehouse. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is telling me, wait a minute, it's saying I have 698 available, but I can't find what location it's in. So what that means to me is that the subsidiary I'm trying to sell to from this client, we don't have any of this quantity available. However, I do know that since I saw 698, I can sell this and then reach out based on my company process to get some transfer to the right subsidiary so that I can sell this to the client. And again, those are just nice little visibilities we have that we've got because of the fact that we are integrated to the inventory ledger, to the accounting ledger, to the multiple organizations. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And now you see that we've saved it. It's now in a pending fulfillment. So it's waiting for either myself or our warehouse team or whomever else that we have that does our fulfillments to come in here and fulfill the transaction. Now, if we come back to our prospect record, right, we now have a transaction with this entity. So when I refresh this, the system is going to move it from a prospect to a customer automatically, because NetSuite recognizes that once they've ordered from you, once they've purchased for you, they're no longer a prospect, they're a customer. Now, this does not prevent me from creating additional opportunities. So now that I've won this opportunity, you can see that I still have this one in discussion. I can create new ones. I can create new quotes. I can create new direct transactions. So it gives me the capability to continue working with a customer, managing that relationship, doing follow-up sales, right? Following up with them on, hey, I saw you bought this 6 months ago, but you haven't bought anything since. That's what the Customer 360 gives us. The Customer 360 is going to show us how many orders they've placed, have they been fulfilled, right? What's going to give us our year sales, year-to-date sales. So a lot of great information saved for the customer in a very specific, easy to access spot to give you visibility into different aspects and different analytics of what you can do for the customer. Now, since this is a new customer, obviously there's not a year or 2 year or 6 year worth of history in here. However, when you move into a system and you bring in older data, or as the life cycle, the longer you're in the system, the more data there is. And that's just computers in general. The more data we have, the more analytics we can run. So that was a really sort of brief overview of the Salesforce automation aspect in NetSuite. There is a lot of reporting that we can get related to these processes. When you look at your reports as an individual sales rep, you'll see that we have our forecasting reports, and we have all of these reports available out of the box. You can see that I have the ability to create my own save searches, to create my own reports. I have access to sales by customer reports, sales by item. If I'm a manager, I can look at sales by sales rep. So I could see my team as a sales rep. I can look and see the team that I'm on versus other teams. Going into every single one of these reports would take us 3 or 4 hours, so I'm not going to dive into all of them. I'm going to look at a sales by customer report, and I'm going to set it to go for the last, let's say, 6 months. And you can see that this report has got $2,600. For the sales by customer summary, we're using invoices, which is why the sale that we made today is not showing up yet. But this gives me visibility into what my sales were and by whom over a period of time. Now, if I go and look at sales, I can say sales by item. And you see it's from January to July. We're going to move this out to the end of August. And again, it didn't change once again because we're looking at invoices, so AR transactions. So you see we've done 13 vacuum head bases. And if I was to invoice the sales order that we just created, that item would also show up. Now, all of these reports can be customized to change or add any additional information that I'm looking for. I could change it from invoices to sales orders. I could view other financial information about my reports. I could look at, let's say, customers by territory, new sales. So how many sales are new within the last month, or how many customers have purchased for the first time within the last month. A lot of different reporting capability that I have access to at my fingertips. And again, this is just as a sales rep. So I'm going to move back into my administrator role. Now, an administrator role has access to everything in the system. And I'm just going to jump in here to show you the volume of reports in NetSuite. So you see here, I've got a pipeline analysis. So a sales manager might care more about the pipeline. A sales director might care more about the pipeline than an individual sales rep who cares more about their sales, their forecasts. So you see, again, I have all of these CRM and sales reports straight out of the box, right? Total open opportunities, total pipeline, quotes to close, and I can view these as an organization. So again, if I'm a sales director and I want to see pipeline by customer, or even pipeline by rep, or sales activity by rep, how many of my reps are logging phone calls, are logging tasks, are making contacts, sending emails to customers. I can look at that information. I can look at financial information, right? Income statement. So how's my income statement changing based on my sales? And all of this, again, I keep hammering on it. I keep coming back to this. This is all included with base NetSuite. Every piece of functionality you're seeing here, you get with your NetSuite licenses. So if you're running NetSuite for ERP, or NetSuite for accounting, or NetSuite for inventory management, you have all of this functionality available to you, right? If you have a small sales team, if you have a large sales team, you can take what you've currently purchased and build these CRM, build these Salesforce automation aspects out without having to spend more on a Salesforce or another system like that is only going to be for CRM. So very beneficial, out of the box, linked across your entire system so you can build reporting, build linkages, build visibility, and manage your customers from beginning to middle to managed life cycle, let's call it, because that's recurring revenue is where the big money is with clients these days. You want to keep your clients happy. And so the last part of CRM, let's talk about making clients happy, is case management. And NetSuite does have a very good case management module that we can take a look at. We're not going to go all the way into it today, but you do have the capability to come in here into support and create a full CRM support management opportunity straight out of NetSuite. Again, just like the sales piece. We will be doing a recorded webinar on case management. So if you want to go watch that, that should be available on YouTube sometime later this year. Or if you're watching this down the road, that's also available. So thank you for spending some time with me today, going over the CRM and SFA capabilities in NetSuite. I hope that this has been a nice little introduction and given you some insight into the CRM and SFA capabilities of NetSuite. And hopefully it's given you some insight into how you can use NetSuite to grow and manage your customer base. So thank you for your time, and I hope you've enjoyed it.